we start another 2-week talk.
I gotta get home.
No. What you gonna do is get this money.
You have not been with these kids for 2 weeks.
Who's putting food on the table? I'm taking care of you.
Oh yeah, what's going on, fam? It's your man VACAY-Jay, and yes, I'm back with another video. This is for episode 5 recap, P-Valley season 2, and yes, this is the Miss Mississippi story, Keyshawn story, and Derek, and yes, Wody is the real MVP. So we're gonna break it down. Don't forget, check out all my episode recaps, definitely, so you can make sure you get caught up. And definitely check out that Little Murder versus Pico video. So let's break down episode 5 recap for P-Valley. So here we are, fam. We are in the ATL, Atlanta, Georgia. And yes, Miss Mississippi, she's about to perform. They're in a dressing room. And of course, your boy Rome is on the phone. You know, she's putting on her lashes, right? Her Miss Mississippi lashes. But he's on the phone making some deals, wheeling and dealing. And yeah, come to find out, things are going well as far as the endorsements. And yes, she got the endorsement for a wig line now. So, of course, she's happy. You know, Keyshawn, she's happy about all the elevation, all the brands, all the everything. And Rome seems to be doing his thing, right? As a manager, he's doing exactly what he said he's going to do. So he's showing her, you know, the wigs that they definitely want her to be, you know, the face of, right? And she's looking at them. They got the blue one, the red one. They got all of this and that, right? And mind you, Uncle Clifford is narrating this story, you know, so it's like a narration type of story. And she's looking at these wigs, and she's like, yeah, they're kind of ghetto, you know, she's not really feeling them or whatever. But there's a wig, a blonde wig in the corner, and Rome is like, hey, what about this one? This one will look good on you. She's like, I don't know, it may not go well with my skin. So they put it on, and, you know, she's looking kind of nice or whatever. But Rome is definitely trying to sell this thing. He's trying to make sure that she does wear the wigs so they can get the endorsements, so they can get more money, so he can get more money. So she's looking at it, and he's just trying to convince her that, hey, this is the look, this is the one. You never wore this before. You look like a totally different person. And he's saying that, yeah, we got 2 more weeks to do this. But, of course, Keyshawn's like, I got to get home. I got to go home to my babies and all this and that. But Rome is on some like, yo, what you going to do is make this money. You know what I'm saying? A lot of this stuff is pending, so we got to keep this thing going, and we got to make sure the money is still coming in. So now he's pushing her, even though she wants to go home, be with her kids and the whole nine. She's holding on to that necklace, you know, holding on and wishing that, you know, everything would turn out right. But again, she's being pressured and forced into this position. And this is not the first time she's been in a position like that where she has been forced to do things that she doesn't want to do, right? So now we see your boy Little Murder and Big T. They got drinks, compliments of the Blue Guap label and everything. And Little Murder's like, yeah, I should be up there performing with, you know, Miss Mississippi. And, you know, they're going back and forth, him and Big T, you know, because they lovers. And here comes Rome like, hey, what's going on with y'all? You know, while y'all arguing, whatever. And then all of a sudden, who do we see? Flying down from the ceiling, we see Jocelyn Hernandez, and she's flying down, greeting everybody. Little Murder looking all amazed. Your boy Big Teak is like, wow, this is crazy. You know, he's definitely impressed seeing her flying down from the stage, talking to the people, saying they're going to have a great show and the whole nine, right? And we see the legends. The legends, they're there as well. And Jocelyn, you know, she does her little dance and everything, and she definitely gets the party hype. Of course, Rome, he's loving what's going on. He got his stacks money ready to do his thing. And then we see Jocelyn, and she is about to introduce one of the baddest bees to ever do it. That's right, talking about Miss Mississippi, right? Definitely shout out to the legends, but here comes Miss Mississippi. So a cloud of smoke comes out of nowhere, and then she appears, and she does her thing, boy. And I tell you, she's definitely great at doing all of that, right? And everybody's loving Miss Mississippi because she definitely has her talent. But let's flash back. We now then flash back to high school where, you know, Keyshawn wasn't always, you know, Miss Mississippi. And she was trying out for the cheerleading team. and she's trying to do a thing, but she's not really that good. This is where we see that her and Gidget actually went to high school together, right? And Gidget was like the leader or the captain of the cheerleading squad. So she's up there, and then boom, she falls down because she's not doing it right. And she falls down on the ground, and Gidget's like, ah, man, okay, well, maybe you should try it again. She's number 4, and she's down on the ground. And guess who's looking at her, trying to help her up? Look at your boy, Derek. Blue-eyed Derek coming through, helping her out, and this is where they met, right? They met because he's part of the cheerleading squad. And, of course, Gidget is like, yeah, okay, I see you. Come on over here. Maybe you should try again. And, yeah, Derek is trying to be encouraging, man. I mean, look at this guy. He's like, Mr. Handsome guy trying to get at her. But then we see Keyshawn has a stepsister. And the stepsister wants to do a cheerleading type of move that, is definitely a big, intense move. So, Keyshawn gets something for her head, and a stepsister does the move with Derek pushing her up. So Derek's like the muscle man, right? So Keyshawn's sitting there, she's tending to her wound. And if one of the football guys comes over, he's like, hey, you the new girl, what's your name? What's your name? And she don't want to be bothered. So she doesn't answer. He's like, oh, you're not going to answer, And then he starts to say some slurs to her, like, oh, you think you all that. And then Derek comes over, he's like, yo, man, leave the girl alone, right? And he's like, yo, what are you going to do? What are you going to do, white boy, right? And he's like, oh, the white boy's scared or whatever. So Derek, he walks away, actually. And this guy, he keeps pressing on him like, what you going to do? Nothing. So he turns around, he spits on Derek. Derek turns around and lunges at dude, gets him on the ground and starts wailing on him, like really getting into him, right? One of his boys tried to help out. Derek kicks him down. Like the football team's just watching for the most part. I mean, they should be breaking it up. But Derek is going in. You see his boy is back there on the ground. Like Derek is going in on these cats. So we kind of find out that, yeah, Keyshawn didn't make the cheerleading squad, but her stepsister did. And it's all good. Like Keyshawn really wasn't the one that they were looking at. They were really looking at her stepsisters. And, she feels like she hasn't been seen. But Derek definitely sees her and lets her know that he definitely sees who she is. Sees, her chocolate, her, her being black and beautiful and everything else like that. So he ain't playing. Derek is on some like, yo, he looks like he's definitely showing his intention, good intention for her. At the same time, she doesn't feel like she deserves all of this, but Derek is definitely showing that he's a nice guy back then. So, yeah, of course, this is high school. He sees a pretty girl. She may not feel that she's pretty, but come to find out, yeah, her dad and her stepmom, they living in a mansion, and yeah, come to find out, Keyshawn, she does hair, right? Of course, most black women, salute to all my black sisters out there that know how to do hair, right? But her stepmother is really on some like, yeah, it's kind of hard raising 2 girls. Keyshawn got to correct and be like 3 girls, right? 3 girls. And, the stepmom is just on some like, yeah, I forget these things. And, these girls are pretty, but then Keyshawn burns one of the sisters' hairs. And, the mother's like, how are you going to mess up part of the most beautiful thing about her and everything else like that? So that was her hair issue, right? That was Keyshawn's hair issue that she's had that has been a trauma to her, that her stepmom made it a trauma within her life, And, we see what's going on here. But they're talking about the other sister and how fine she is, how beautiful she is, how light-skinned she is, and how all the guys always ask her out. Like she was the one that stood out, while Keyshawn was really the one in the background, right? She was really the one that nobody really looked at. But her stepsister was, that girl. Everybody knows that girl in high school, right? That one girl that all the guys want and all the girls want to be like, right? So kind of find out that her stepsisters definitely go back and forth with their sibling rivalry. And, her stepsister, one of them is like, yo, you always say no to the guys, but you always get the guys. And she doesn't understand it because she's trying to get a date or whatever. But Keyshawn just kind of laying back and not really worrying about anything. So it's not like the whole Cinderella story where, you know, the two sisters was going after Cinderella. Now the sisters are going at each other. But we see that Derek definitely is looking at Keyshawn, and Keyshawn looking back at Derek. Like, yeah, she's noticing that he's looking at her and really feeling Keyshawn, right? So now she's going home in the rain. She's walking home in the rain. She doesn't have a car, so she's trying to stay out of the rain. Your boy Derek has a car. He rolls up like, yo, get in, right? And she's like, I don't know, right? But, you know, she knows that he's feeling her. And he definitely is like, yo, come on, get in. I'm going to take care of you, take you home, whatever. But he doesn't take her home. He takes her to the restaurant, and they start kicking it, talking about stuff. And, you know, talking about how, you know, he definitely is like, hey, you know, I look at all the girls, you know, when I'm pushing them up, I look underneath their dress when I'm doing the cheerleading thing. And she picks up on that. And she, you know, she should have picked up that he was kind of a sleaze too. But, you know, she's definitely impressed by how he looks and how he's treating her. You know, that's the most important thing. Look who we see show up as a waitress at the restaurant. That's right, Pastor Woodvine. She was a waitress at this restaurant, taking their order back in the day. So Pastor Woodbine, she was a waitress. It's wild, right? They all kind of grew up in Chuckalisa, right? So she's like, yeah, you better make sure it's all good as far as this date. And she's like, is this a date? He's like, yeah, you know, this could be a date. So she's looking around. She's looking at the other people in there and how, you know, all these black folks up in there. And she, again, is feeling like she's not deserving of all this good treatment. Again, you know, definitely a phobia, definitely a trauma. You know, she's deserving of everything, but she doesn't feel like she's deserving of all this good treatment from Derek, you know, and Derek definitely has some things going on as well, some issues. So now it's Christmas time. They're getting ready for Christmas. They're putting up the ornaments and everything else like that. And, you know, the girls are talking about, you know, what happened with you and, you know, dad and everything else like that. When is he coming back? And she's like, yeah, he's coming back soon or whatever. And she's telling the story of how they met. And Keyshawn is like, listen, you left out the fact that, you know, he was already married and you pretty much came through and broke up the happy home. You're a home wrecker, right? So Keyshawn is calling her out because she's telling her little girls the story and she's leaving out certain parts, right? So the stepmom goes over to her and she's like, listen, you don't know what you're talking about. And she throws some food on Keyshawn. And it's like, what? Like, she's so disrespectful to Keyshawn. And Keyshawn's like, listen, I may be all nice, but you got me twisted. You got me effed up in the whole nine. And they kind of go at it. And Keyshawn throws something back at her and gets it on the stepmom. So they going at it, right? They send her up to a room. And the father comes home. And it's her father. It's her biological father, and that's the stepmom. And yeah, they arguing about her and her behavior and everything else like that. And she is just like, yo, I got to get up out of here. There's some way, somehow, I have to become somebody else. I have to be bigger than what I am. So she's trying to figure out who she's going to be. And she looks at the poster with Rihanna. And she's like, yeah, I got to be a bad B, right? So now we scoot back to present day with Miss Mississippi's Lash Line. She's in the club. She's talking to the legends. You know, they giving, you know, her advice to her at the same time. She's letting her know about the lashes. So they celebrating everything about what's going on. And here comes Jocelyn spraying the $100 bills with the money gun. And, of course, Keyshawn, she's happy to see her because, you know, Jocelyn is, like, big. And all these dancers here, they're big as well. They're legends in the game. So definitely Jocelyn's on some like, yo, what's going on? I see you. Make sure you pick up those hundreds. And Keyshawn is like, should I bow? And she's like, if you want to. She's like, I know you're going to make it out of here because your belly's growling. She's like, it is? And she snaps at her like, chick, it's a metaphor. Like, it's just saying that you're hungry. You know what I'm saying? I see how hungry you are. And you definitely going to make it out because you definitely got that grind. And you remind me of myself, right? Getting out, making it happen. She's like, listen, they always going to look at you as a hoe. No matter what, you know, no matter what you do. But that's all right because Cardi B says a hoe is never cold, right? Always warm. So she gives her a card. She's like, oh, you want me to dance for you? She's like, nah, it's just one bad B to another. You know, we just talking with each other and we going to collaborate. You know, one day we going to collaborate and you're going to see how big you can really get. So they definitely make a bond and make a connection. Now we're going to scoot back, go to the past, and we see that there's this dance coming up, right? So what happens is the girls, the step sisters, they all dressed up and the father's there. And we finally see the father and he's taking pictures of them and the whole nine. And we see Keyshawn in the background. She's just eating milk because nobody invited her to the dance, right? So, they're taking pictures. The dad is hugging the girls. It's definitely a nice moment or whatever. But Keyshawn is kind of on the side. The fellas are there in the back so they could take pictures. I mean, they got the whole spread laid out. Like they taking a whole photo shoot and the whole nine. So, the dad asked Keyshawn, hey, can you, take a picture of me and the girls so I can get in the photo? So she's like, yeah, Dad, yes, whatever. So, yeah, he's about to get in. They looking real good. And she's taking pictures, but she definitely notices that the dad is holding the step sisters a little bit too tight around the waist and the whole nine. And, he's looking at the pretty one. And, yeah, she's standing there and he gives her a kiss and she looks disgusted. Like she is disgusted with this guy. She looks really uncomfortable. And Keyshawn is noticing all of that, right? Like he's definitely like a, really creepy dude. So who shows up? Derek shows up with flowers and he shows up to pick up Keyshawn. She's smiling because she's surprised because, it is what it is. And he has an outfit ready for her, has a gown ready. And they are shocked. They like, what? Like, who is this dude coming up in here, right? So now she's upstairs in her room. She's doing sit-ups, trying to get herself, slim enough to get into this dress. And she's on the bed trying to pull the dress on her because I guess it's a real tight dress, even though she type skinny, type thin. But she finally gets the dress on, looks really nice. And she is definitely ready to hit the town with your boy, Derek, right? So now she's looking for the shoes. And it's like a Cinderella type of story, It's really like a Cinderella type of story where this dude picks her up, this all white knight dude picks her up and takes her to the ball. See, this is a whole different dance right on the other side of the tracks. So yeah, he brings this nice chocolate, beautiful woman to the other side of the tracks where everybody's seeing that, yeah, Derek is definitely feeling Keyshawn and he's enjoying her as well. Right? So they're having a good time. They're dancing at this ball. So there's a difference between a ball and a dance, right? So this is a ball here. And they're dancing and they're having a good time. And they flip over to the other side of the tracks where they show the disco ball and they show the dance. See, this is a dance right here where you got Gidget and her little boyfriend, and then you see one of the stepsisters, and they dancing to a whole different type of music, right? They popping and locking and dropping. On one side of the tracks, they got lobsters. On the other side of the track, they got sandwiches, right? On the other side of the track, they taking pictures in front of the tree and everything else like that. And then you see the them taking pictures in front of some sequin stuff, right? On one side, you got them, toasting with wine glasses. On the other side, you see them toasting with the red party cups, right? Y'all know about that. So yeah, looks like, the stepsisters are having fun. At the same time, Keyshawn is having fun as well. Whole different lifestyle, whole different time, right? So they're having a good time, dancing on cordial and everything else like that. And they're dancing under a mistletoe, right? This is Christmas time, so you know what you do with a mistletoe, right? So they're about to kiss right there in that house. And guess who shows up? This lady is looking at Derek like, you ain't going to do that. And he looks down like, oh, man, like, okay, so it's time for them to go. Party's over. And Derek is about to get the car to take her back home. And she's like, yeah, who was that? And she's like, yeah, that's the mistletoe police. But that's also my mom, you know what I mean? So Keyshawn notices that he has a bruise on his face. And she's like, yeah, you beating up the football guys again? He's like, nah, that's not the football guys, right? So they look up. And guess what? It starts to snow in Chucalissa, Mississippi. And they are so surprised. And Keyshawn is happy. And, Derek is happy. They look really happy together, right? It looks like a fairy tale. And she's like, oh, my God. And she's like, He's sticking the tongue out to have the snow go in her mouth. He's like, come on, I got to get you home before your dad gets mad at me. And she's like, come on, how often does it snow in Chucalissa, right? Like, capture the moment, right? So he's smiling. They look really, really happy together. And of course, before they get back to the crib, this is dance night, Christmas dance night. And yeah, they go in and do what they do. And, he just got the bruise on his face and the whole nine. That should have been a red flag for you, Keyshawn. But yeah, they definitely go in and they get it popping. So Keyshawn tries to sneak back in and walk up the steps. And then she hears a lighter. And yeah, the stepmom is on the couch looking at her like, I see you. I caught you, right? So Keyshawn is like, hey, I'm sorry. I came back past curfew. And she's like, don't worry about it. You actually beat the rest of your sisters, right? The rest of the girls. And, the mom is looking pretty upset, drinking wine and everything else like that. And she tells Keyshawn, listen, be careful, that, if you decide to become a Barbie girl to, a man, just be careful with that because you're actually going to end up with the short stick, in the end, right? So she's listening to her. And yeah, that was a lesson for Keyshawn, but she didn't really take the lesson, right? She didn't really take the lesson. So fast forward to present day, we see Keyshawn, Miss Mississippi now. She's partying it up, made a whole lot of bread. You see Lil Murda and Walter, they counting that money, putting the money together. They turning up the music. Everything is all good. They celebrating this, all love, right? Everything is positive. Keyshawn, she talking on her money phone. They getting money hand over fist. I mean, Keyshawn is loving where she is right now, being free, getting money with the money gun and the whole nine. They are having fun. And Wody, he gives her the wink. So you know what happens? She got the wink. She got to die now, right? So she falls out on the floor with all that money on the floor. And she starts to make a snow angel, right? A little money angel right there on the floor. So, Keyshawn, she's loving where she's at right now. Feels like she made it. She's on top of the world right now, She's definitely in a great place. So they're definitely celebrating with her, and they're happy to be there within the moment. And yeah, things are going real well with this tour. This is part of the tour. Even your boy Big Teak is smiling as this is what's going on, right? So yeah, they definitely happy, and they definitely about to lay it down. And, Keyshawn, she is in her element. Miss Mississippi is definitely in her element. This is where, she wants to be. This is where she could have been, if she wasn't a mom or she wasn't connected to Derek and the whole nine long time ago. So now we see Lil Murda and Big T, they kind of arguing or whatever. He doesn't agree with something. And Keyshawn looking at Wody like, yo, are these dudes messing around? Are they getting it in? And Wody looking back like, yeah, I think they getting it in. They give each other the look. They don't say anything, but they know. And she's like, okay, well. She's like, all right, I see what's going on. So here comes Rome, and he gives Little Murda the key to one of the suites. So yeah, Little Murda's like, man, appreciate it, man. About to slide up in there, do what I do. They kind of, whatever. They're going to mess around in the room. And Rome is like, nah, ain't no sliding, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, ain't no sliding. Don't be partying up in the room like that. And he's like, what you talking about? And Rome is on some like, yo, listen, y'all need to be happy that I got you something. You know what I'm saying? Wardy would have had you up in the Hotel 6 or whatever. So Big T takes the key, throws it back at Rome on some like, yo, we don't need your charity or whatever, right? And they like, nah, chill. And Rome was like, oh, okay, I see you, Big T. Oh, so you used to the jail cots, right? This 5-star bed is too soft for you, right? Or whatever, So Rome is on some like, yeah, let me slide out of here. Keyshawn, when you ready to slide, let me know, right? And calls them broke ninjas. And of course, Big T, he ain't taking too kindly to that. He's like, yo, F Rome, whatever. And Keyshawn, she just like, man, like just ruin the moment again. Like she's having a good time, ruin the moment. It's just too much intensity going on. But Wody just chilling. He's sitting there right there. And, And she's like, don't even worry about it. I'm going to go talk to Rome. I'm going to get y'all sweets and everything else like that. You know, Rome feel like he doing too much and Wody ain't doing enough. You know, he definitely dissing Wody, saying that he not really doing his job as far as making sure they up in sweets and stuff like that. So, you know, Wody and Keyshawn, they cool. They real cool. And yeah, Keyshawn definitely in her element looking at the dress and everything. And then we shoot back to where Derek places, you know, the little baby bibs on her stomach for the baby. Said that it came from, you know, the mom. So meanwhile, Keyshawn eating her moon pies, and she's like, oh, these are ugly, you know, da-da-da-da. And he's like, yo, why are you complaining? Like, you know what I'm saying? They're just gifts. The baby's not going to know the difference. And she just real mad because I guess she expected more from Derek's mom as far as support. But it looks like they're not really supporting, you know, this premarital sex. They're not supporting, you know, her getting pregnant. You know, seems like, you know, Derek's mom basically kicked him out, kind of disowned him because he's having a baby with Keyshawn. And he's like, listen, we doing all that we can. You know, you need to be like just happy with what we got. You know, I got kicked out. And he called her names and says, yeah, I should have never got involved with your ghetto ass and all this and that. Like really went in on her and really called her a gold digger and the whole nine. And she's like, I ain't gold digging. I'm supporting us right now. And then he puts hands on her, man. This is the first time it happened while she's pregnant. And he yokes her up, puts his hand on her neck like she's choking her, man. Like, this is crazy, right? So we seeing this early in the game. Like, after she got pregnant in the whole nine, he was abusing her, man. Crazy. So we shoot the present day. Keyshawn, she brings, you know, bag of money to Rome in the whole nine. And he's up there in his room. She's like, yo, we got to go. We got things to do. What's going on? He's like, yeah, we got some time and all this and that. And he's like, listen, you know, the whole wig line thing fell through, but I got something better. So he pulls out a shoe. He's like, yeah, we're going to get you your own stripper shoes, right? She's like, I don't know. You know, that kind of like, you know, makes the market smaller because not everybody wears stripper shoes. He's like, listen, try it on. He's like, yeah, I wanted to go with the wigs. So she tries it on and he's like, how's it feel? She's like, yeah, it feels good. It's cool. Whatever. So she's kind of going along with it, but she really wanted that wig line because everybody could wear wigs. So she's trying on the shoes with the outfit and the whole nine. And he's like taking pictures or recording what's going on. She's like, what you doing? You know, what's wrong with you? You know, what are you doing? Stop recording me. And his robe is open and he looks like he might be a little, you know, hard because he's looking at your girl, Miss Sip. And she's like, yo, close your robe. Like, what are you doing? You know, he's like, yo, listen, like, we need to get this thing popping. Like, you don't like what you see. You rather go home to the white boy. I mean, Rome is going in on some sleaze stuff, right? Because he's thinking he's doing all this and that for her and that she's just going to give it up. I mean, it's just kind of typical, right? It's kind of typical, unfortunately, in the industry as a whole, you know, for, you know, dudes to be on that, like, I'm doing stuff for you and all this and that. You know, definitely drop your comments below on that. But this is like normal, right, for dudes to expect this and that, which is not right at all. So he's going in like, yo, I've done so much for you and all of these contracts, they're pending. So, you know, you need to give it up. And he's trying to just get her to sleep with him. And she ain't having it. So she walks away, goes in the bedroom, which she probably shouldn't have done. But he goes in there and she's probably trying to get her clothes to get up out of there. And this dude coming on some like, yo, I know what's up with Little Wody and Big T. Yeah, they were smacking cheeks and I got a whole recording. So he got a recording. How did he get a recording of them going in? What, he put a camera in the room? Like, was he in the room while they was messing around? And then he pulls her top off and says, yeah, you gonna give me some. Tries to throw on the bed and get her, right? She needs him and gets up out of there and runs up out of there, right? Good for you. Run, girl. Get away from Rome. Dude's a sleaze bag. And she's running for her life. And she goes to Wardy's room and she's banging on the door. And all it does is just flashes back to when she was banging on the door, trying to get back into her, you know, her dad and her stepmom's house. While she's pregnant in the rain, trying to get away from Derek. You know, it's probably the same night that Derek put hands on her. And she's like, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. And she's like, nah, you didn't make a mistake. You made a decision. And I can't have all of that around my girls. You getting pregnant at a young age and everything else like that with this boy. And she's like, what about my daddy? What my daddy saying? She's like, your dad feels the same. Like, go home, get up out of here. And looking at her in disgust and slams the door on Keyshawn, pregnant in her nightgown in the rain. I mean, terrible, man. Terrible how they treated Keyshawn. So she's banging on the door, and Wardy finally opens up the door. He's like, yo, what's going on? And she's standing there all upset. You know, half of her dress, half of her thing is down. And he gives her a robe. He's like, what happened? He's like, yeah, Rome tried to attack me. He tried to rape me. You know, I'm done with this tour. I'm done with this tour. I'm ready to go home. And he's like, yo, but, you know, what about little murder and everything else like that? She's like, I don't care. I'm done. I'm done with all of this stuff. This is just not for me. And she tells him that, yeah, Rome knows about Little Murder and Big Teak and has a recording of them doing it in the hotel room. So it looks like Wody gonna have to handle some business. So then we flash back. She goes back to the house, right? Or she wakes up and she goes to the baby room, right? Ain't no baby in there because she has the baby. And she sees a whole bunch of flowers on the floor in the baby room, right? So she walks in there. It's really pretty, really nice, you know, and she's very surprised. Here comes Derek. He's like, hey, Key, I'm sorry. And he's getting on his knees and he's saying he's apologizing. He's like, that'll never happen again. That'll never happen again. You know how these abusers do. You know, they'll promise you that it'll never happen again. But of course, it's just an empty promise, you know, and it happens again. So now we shoot to present day. He's taking care of the baby. They're smiling and having fun. He's tossing the baby in the air, whatever. And Keyshawn is back home, finally back home, to see her babies and to see Derek. So she walks in, looks like everything is okay. She sees the oldest there on the floor, just playing on the floor, whatever. And yeah, Derek is with the baby and they cooking some food, right? It's like, hey, you know, mommy's home. Look, mommy's home, right? And he looks like he's doing a good job, you know, being a dad. And he's like, yeah, you know, I thought you was going to be on the road for another 2 weeks with this extension. She's like, nah, something happened. And, you know, she gives a kiss to the baby looking at her like, who you? You know, it's been 2 weeks. Like, where you been? Like, or who are you, right? So she goes to the oldest, and the oldest is not responding to her the way she wants to, you know, want her to respond. And it's like, what's going on, you know? So he gives her a kiss, brings her a plate in the whole nine, and she's about to eat, but she's really trying to find out what's going on with the oldest. And, you know, Derek is just smiling. He's happy to see that she's back. But, you know, the oldest baby is just not really responding well. And she's like, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's going on with the baby? You know, something's wrong. And Derek is like, nah, ain't nothing going on. You know, nothing happening. Everything's fine. He's probably just missing you and everything. Has been a long time, right? Definitely a red flag. Like, definitely, you know, she has her mommy senses on. Like, this is not right. She takes him to the doctor. And come to find out, he has a fractured elbow, right? Fractured, like the whole nine. And then they're looking at his back, and there's bruises on his back. The doctor notices. Keyshawn is now noticing as well. And she's looking very concerned, like, what is going on? And we see that there are clear bruises on the back of the child. Derek is there. He's ironing his shirt. She goes back home, right? And she's upset. She's upset. Puts the baby in the room, right? And then she comes back out. He's like, yeah, I'm getting ready for this interview. I'm about to go. She's like, listen, you didn't ask me what happened at the doctor's. He's like, okay, what happened at the doctor's? He has bruises on his back. What's going on? What happened? And he has a fractured arm. Well, you know, he was getting on my nerves, and, you know, it's been 2 weeks. And, you know, she's like, he's only 3 years old. She pulls out the paperwork and says, see, right there, right there. He has bruises on his back. He has a fractured arm. What are you doing to my kids? She's like, I can understand you beating on me and everything else like that, but do not touch the kids, right? He's like, listen, he's getting on my nerves. And she's like, he's only 3. She's like, well, I'm going to beat him the same way my dad beat me. And she's like, listen, you're not your dad. You could be so much better than your dad. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to beat the kids, you know? Don't touch the kids, period. And he's like, listen, you haven't been here in 2 weeks. It's been crazy dealing with them and the whole nine. She's like, listen, man, you know what? You're not going to get the job. You're not going to get it. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm bringing home all the money. And you know what? You could be better than your dad. You're not better than your dad, you know? And she basically is talking down to him in the whole nine. And she really cannot believe that this man who says that he loves her and the kids is putting hands on the kids. And she's really giving it to him. Like, man, you're just like the worst. You're worse than your dad. Like, seriously, to put hands on the kids. So he gets angry and puts hands on her now, right? And it gets to the point where he gets that hot iron and he's about to put it on her face. She's like, listen, you can put it anywhere. Just don't put it on my face. Just don't put it on my face. And he finally lets her go. I mean, it's an intense scene. And man, definitely feeling sorry for Keyshawn and the kids. So Wardy goes to a party and in Rome's room, he's like, hey, man, I got some goods for you, man. You definitely want to talk some business with you, right? So they take it and he's like, hey, you take it first, right? So Wardy takes some of it, takes some of his, but not of what he brought for Rome. So he's like, yeah, man, you know, so what's going on with Keyshawn, man? She left early. He's like, oh, I don't know. Rome is acting like he don't know what's going on, right? He knows that he tried to rape her. He tried to do all this and that. It's like, man, they come a dime a dozen. He's like, yo, what's going to happen with the tour? It's like, well, you know, I got another artist and Little Murder can, you know, definitely open up for that other artist. You know, Little Murder's not taking off the way that we want him to take off, right? And then Rome starts to cough. And he's like, yeah, you know, we could do that and we could replace Keyshawn. And Bodie just on some like, really? He's like, listen, man, you know, that's not going to go down like that, man. That don't sound like a good deal, man. And Bodie's just on some like, listen, bro, like, you know, I know what's going on. And you see the scratches on Rome's face. You see the scratches? That's Keyshawn trying to get away from him. And Wardy's on some like, listen, man, I don't know what you did. I know exactly what you did to Keyshawn, and I know everything. I know everything that you did. Meanwhile, Rome is just choking, and he looked like he about to die. Like he really can't breathe. Like he's really about to suffocate. And he's at the point where Wardy's like, listen, man, I gave you some goods, but it's not the goods that you usually know about, right? And Rome is about to die. And he says, listen, you ain't going to play no video or nothing. We going to still get this money. And then Rome falls out. Wardy leaves the room. It's like, yo, Rome OD'd, yo, call an ambulance. And the whole nine, he is gone. Rome is dead. And your boy Wardy, he took care of Rome. And that's the end of episode 5, P-Valley Season 2, family. Intense episode, revealing episode. Drop your comments below. Definitely check out episode 6 trailer where your boy Dre is running for mayor. But family, this was a crazy one, right? Listen, if you're brand new to the channel, definitely hit that subscribe button. Do me a favor, smash that like button. And absolutely, this was one of the craziest episodes. Listen, if you like that video, definitely check out this next one right here. Salute.